Good morning, everyone. Welcome into another edition of the Morning Edge. It is Tuesday, Diilbertos, joined by Krabs Bets. And Krabs, we have a lot to get into today. We have the ACC tournament kicking off, a couple conference chips. We're going to talk some bubble bets. And, of course, we're going to have the Tuesday Best Bets, which does include a day one ladder for me. You also have a lock for us that's going to cash in. So a lot to get into on today's slate. But first, Krabs, we're going to start this off with a Thunderdome recap. We did not have a show yesterday. All good, all back today. Krabs, you guys are just making it too easy. That's number 7. I did check. It's officially number 7 too. I checked with the official Thunderdome team.
Oh.
What's going on? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's happening at this point because
Hey, talk your talk. Talk your talk
easy
for now. All right. I'm still a rookie, still learning the ropes. I gotta add some plus chicken in here.
Yes.
And I gotta at the end of the day, I gotta hit more than one bet. That would probably help too.
Yes, that will. But like you said, it's a new challenge. When I first started, not that easy. Lost my first couple. There's hope. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. But definitely a fun one there. Just going over that one, the XFL had a good XFL weekend. Krabs didn't miss a bet in the XFL, which was really nice. Sea Dragons Defenders, little parlay there. How about your Defenders? Undefeated, best team in DC right now.
Don't let them get hot. Don't let them get hot. It might be too late. Yeah, 3-0. Gosh, the games are more electric than any Commanders game I've been at in recent history. I'm going to be there on Sunday to check it out. Sunday Night Football. So if you're taking the Defenders this week, I'll be there screaming my lungs out for you. Okay, doing my best.
I love that. That's huge. I was going to say I was looking for you this weekend with the Beer Snake. I was like, if I live, I'll probably go to a game honestly because I'm not, I'm about 2.5 hours from DC. Looks like a good environment, so definitely we'll have to get out to that. But another Thunderdome there. We'll see. We'll see how this weekend goes. Krabs will have revenge on his mind. We will have another guest, which will be great, and we'll get into that. But the people want to talk about today, Krabs. They don't really care about the past. It's not how this game works. The ACC tournament, ACC tournament preview. It's always one of my favorites. Tons of teams. We get 15 teams here in the ACC. 3 games today. Some of them, really none of them are that pretty. Let's be honest. But it's college hoops. It's fun. It's the ACC Power Conference. Tournaments are here. March is here. Talk me through what you're looking at here. Let's first talk about some value bets here. Who do you think has a chance to win this tournament?
Sure. Well, first of all, shout out Nigel, producer in the back, for putting VT up there because I know they don't have I don't think they have that short of odds. Maybe they do. But shout out to Hokies. We're going to go over that in a little bit. A couple things, though. Duke having the shortest odds. Definitely something there. Not as the number 1 seed. A little interesting. Gosh, they are on fire right now. I don't know if anybody's getting in the way of the Blue Devils. But you want to talk value, Matt? I got some value for you. Number 1 would be Pitt. This is non-biased Krabs talking. This Pitt team was in first place in the ACC for a while and, had a slow end of the season there, lost a couple games, ended up getting the 5th seed, I'm pretty sure. Brutal, but that team was in first almost the entire season. They will have to go through either Florida State or Georgia Tech today. Not a big deal there, but they will have to beat Duke if they win that game, which is tough. So I'm targeting another team that I know pretty darn well. It's the Virginia Tech Hokies, who are the defending champions. People seem to forget that a little bit. We still have our rings. All right, the conference still goes through us. We have, Matt, if I could handpick a bracket for us to go through and teams for us to play, this would be it. I'm a little bit worried about the Irish. I know you're rocking the sweatshirt there. I appreciate that. I'm a little bit worried about the Irish today with that line move, but if we can get through Mike Bray in his last game coaching Notre Dame, we play NC State, who's been struggling a little bit. Then we would play Clemson, a team we could also beat as well, a team we should have beaten twice this year. Then UVA, a team we know extremely well and have beaten already this season. And those games always go down to the last possession, right? And we wouldn't really have to play a great team until the finals, a team I'm worried about like Miami or Duke. So the Hokies have crazy value, and it's not just me saying this, guys. I'll pull up the splits really quick. Looks like Virginia Tech is getting the second fattest handle. They're getting about 24% of the handle to win the tournament, but only 7% of bets, Matt. So some big boy bets, including mine, are coming in on the Hokies to run the table.
All right. Yeah, you talked. I could see the path there because I did throw a little bit of launch money on Notre Dame to win the tournament, right? Which would be a very long shot. I think it was 25 to win 11K. So I'll take that. Why not? Give me some launch money on it. But I also threw a little bit on Virginia Tech. just because it's kind of like you alluded to, that path for that lower seed, it's open, right? I mean, the ACC, there is no conference in the country, in my opinion, that's more wide open for a conference tourney here. The odds that we're getting, I mean, obviously, if you throw money on Duke or Miami, Virginia, that's not the best play, in my opinion, just because really no value there. I think there's good value on Virginia Tech. You kind of mentioned it. They ran the table last year. Notre Dame would be a long shot of all long shots. I'll be honest about that. But the value is like insane. That's more just like a fun why not bet. Notre Dame, again, they were a tournament team last year, Krabs, and they do have 4 or 5 guys from that team back. So them and Virginia Tech, they have experience playing in these big games. I think it's wide open, though. I do. I think more than any other year, this conference is wide open. North Carolina, too. I know people are going to hate me saying this. Watch out for the Heels. They've just disappointed the entire season. But, I mean, last year they played in games that are bigger than this. They made it all the way, obviously, to the finals. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I will say that. I think the Heels have a lot of value there, plus 750. But bet value, no matter what you do on this. And I know that the Heels do let us down. Big 12 and Big 10, guys, we will talk through tomorrow. Someone asked in the comments. We got a lot to get into today, so we're gonna try to be as good with our time as we can. So when those conference tournaments tip, we'll get into them. But Krabs, we have 3 games that take place today. We're gonna talk through all 3 of them. The first one, the people want to know: Georgia Tech or Florida State. This is, let's be honest. I'm gonna be honest. The reason most people want to bet this game, Krabs, is because it tips in like 2 hours. And I get that. I've been there. I'm going to bet it too because I won some action early in the day. Georgia Tech, though, comes into this game as a short favorite, minus 2.5. These teams both just had horrific seasons. But I think it was more expected for Georgia Tech. Florida State, maybe we didn't expect them to be this bad this year, but tough year for them. What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah. Well, you're talking about early action. I hope people got in on the Spiders. Looks like that one just tipped off. So if you guys are looking for some live cheese, target the Spiders if they go down a couple points here. Me and Matt, I think they're both on them. So Let's go Spiders there. Let's go Richmond. But let's talk about the game you wanted to, Georgia Tech, Florida State here. Line opened up around a pick 'em. Maybe even Florida State being a small favorite some places. Now you're seeing Georgia Tech laying 2.5. That line is completely shifted, right? At this point, I think I do like Florida State. I think Georgia Tech could be a little bit fake sharp. It worries me a little bit. Coach Hamilton, ever since he stopped wearing that suit on the sidelines a couple years ago, this Florida State team has not been the same. So if you see Coach Hamilton come out in a suit today, make sure you hammer the Seminoles. But if not, I'd probably go light and grab the 2.5 points. I think it's a little bit of an overreaction here with the line, and Georgia Tech's getting absolutely hammered with bets.
Yeah, I agree. I actually think Florida State's the better team when you really break it down. You kind of mentioned the coach there. That's also a big advantage for them. I mean, I think he's one of the best coaches in the country. Obviously, this year was a horrific year. But typically speaking, the last, 5-6 years, Florida State's been a tournament team or, close to. So an extremely disappointing year for the Seminoles. But I agree. I like them with the points. I would take – in a game like this, you don't want to lay points. I mean, I think it's a complete coin flip. So give me the value with the Seminoles. I like them. I like them on the money line overall. So I like Florida State. So that'll be an early launch winner, Krabs. Game tips, like I said, the game tips somewhat soon. Lock that in. Why not? All right, 2 more games. We don't have to spend too much time on Louisville, Boston College because I don't know if anyone wants to. Louisville, we talk about having seasons to forget. What a year for them. I mean, just a horrific season for the Cardinals. And this is a team historically, I know they've struggled a little bit the last couple of years, but seeing Louisville dead last in the ACC, that's really surprising. They have a rich history as a program. What do you think in this game today? Do they keep it close? I mean, BC laying 5.5 feels like a lot, but I mean, it's Louisville. So what do you think about this one?
Yep. Feels like a lot, but it's against a team nobody wants to bet on. So I'll do it for them. Give me the points. Give me Louisville here. Look, fresh slate, and you never know, right? They still got Ellis and a couple other 4-stars on that roster. They just stink and don't really care. But now the season's over, right? Now they have a chance to make some noise and prove to everybody that they are legit and that Ellis, is a potential NBA player here. And he's by far the best player on the court today. He's better than Langford's. He's better than Post. I like Louisville here with the points. Anytime you can get some points, especially in these early rounds of the ACC tourney, you can get some points with 2 mid teams. I'm gonna be leaning that way. and taking them because I think all these teams are pretty equally terrible this year, to be honest with you. And I'll take 6 points and hold my nose, close my eyes, and bet on Louisville today.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I was looking at that line. I was like, I love Louisville. I just don't want to do it. But I agree. I'm all in on the dogs today. I think Louisville at the points in a game that you kind of mentioned, somewhat of a coin flip here, even though they've had a rough year. They probably have the best player on the court today in Ellis, I would say. So I think you got to give them a shot. Give them one more chance. If they let you down one last time, they can't hurt you again because their season's over. All right, this is a game that we're going to get into. Big time game. This is a future we just talked about. Your Hokies, Virginia Tech. People know, Krabs, that's your team, right? I mean, everyone's got a team. Who cares? You know, you're not betting bias on them, right? You're just doing what your brain's telling you to do. Notre Dame, though, is a 6.5-point dog here against Tech. You mentioned it last year. Won the ACC. Hell of a run there. Do they have more magic left in them? And do you think they cover this spread tonight and possibly Mike Brey's last game at Notre Dame?
They do have some magic left in the tank. They have pretty much the same team as last year, minus Keve Luma plus Grant Basile, who at times has been even better. So they had the recipe for success. You know, the ACC is even worse this year than it was last year. And there's really not any big men that scare me that could take down a small Hokies team. That's my worry. If we get matched up against a team like Purdue, if we were to play them, we would get crushed because Zach Edey would destroy us. Notre Dame is small as well. We match up great. Look, I don't like the line move from 7.5 to 6.5. I'll be honest. I do think Mike Brey and the Irish do cover this game, but Virginia Tech will win. They will advance. If you're looking for a little parlay piece, maybe take the Hokies ML. But all I'm saying is this one's going to be gross. It's going to be weird. We saw Notre Dame, how hard those guys played for Coach Brey in that last home game he was coaching the other day, and they pulled out an upset outright. You could see some energy. You could see some magic in the air, you know, again tonight. And potentially his last game coaching the Irish, one of my favorite coaches of all time, got me into the sport. DMV guy, DC guy from DeMatha. So love the Irish. These are my 2 favorite college basketball teams, to be completely honest with you. Hokies win, but they don't cover. Irish cover.
Yeah, I think so too. I locked in our name last night at 7, so got a little bit of a good line there. I think they keep it close. You kind of mentioned the Mike Brey angle. That is a good point, though. I mean, some people might overlook that. The energy that these kids play with for their coach, right? I mean, this is a guy who they obviously, you know, he's a legend at Notre Dame, recruited all these kids. This is it for him at Notre Dame, although I do believe he mentioned he wants to stay in coaching, right? I just think it's his time ran out here in South Bend. But this is a Notre Dame team that, again, last year they were a tournament team. They still have Nate Laszewski, Dingawan. They still have Cormac Ryan. They still have a lot of guys that were a part of that tournament team. So from a talent standpoint, I do think that Notre Dame severely underachieved, kind of like Virginia Tech. I think they're in somewhat similar situations. Like, they're both better than their record indicates, in my opinion. So I think the Irish keep this close. I think they battle in this game. Kind of a back-and-forth game early. Maybe Virginia Tech pulls away a little bit at the end. But getting 7 in this kind of game, obviously no real home court advantage for either team, neutral site. I just think it's too many points. So I'll back the Irish tonight, but I will cheer on Virginia Tech for your future. All right, we have a couple conference chips tonight, Krabs. And listen, I don't know if it's just me, but these mid-major conference games this year, championships, semifinals, they've been great. I mean, this is the most competitive that I've seen these games in the last few years. And tonight, we are treated to a couple of great ones. Obviously, the one that sticks out, Gonzaga and St. Mary's. They're not technically a mid-major, but I guess technically they are a mid-major. I won't call that conference mid-major anymore. But the Summit League, we get a good one. Oral Roberts was on upset watch last night, Krabs. St. Thomas almost took them down. That was a good game. Cleveland State, Northern Kentucky. Northern Kentucky kind of broke my heart last night. I backed Youngstown. That defense is suffocating. I mean, they are a really good defensive team. And then Merrimack there at the top, they're a 4.5-point favorite. So I'll give you the choice. You dive in. Give me one that sticks out that's not Zaga Mary's, because we're going to get into that. One of these smaller conference tournament championships that you're looking forward to for tonight.
Definitely. So, I mean, the best game on here is obviously the one we're going to talk about in a little bit, Gonzaga St. Mary's. You know, UNC Wilmington, Charleston is going to be nuts. I might have to go step over there. It is in D.C. I might have to go check that one out myself. Yes. But the game I want to bring up, the game I want to bet on, the game I already have a play in is Merrimack. I got him at -4. I still like him at 4.5. Look, They have by far the best player on the floor tonight in Jordan Minor. He had some disciplinary issues earlier on in the season when he was, off the team for a little bit. Apparently, he got into a fight off campus with one of the other players on the team. But since he's come back, this Merrimack team has been trucking. They are winning games in the conference. And them to be laying, 4.5 points tonight against a Fairleigh Dickinson team that's not that good, that has been overperforming all year, a very well-coached team, I will say. A little bit weird, especially since Fairleigh Dickinson has beaten this team twice this year, and it hasn't really been close. So you see FDU win the first two. Now you turn around on a neutral site, and Merrimack is actually -4.5, whatever number you can get. That's a little crazy, and that's a good sign there for Merrimack backers. Take Jordan Minor tonight to go off and carry Merrimack into the tournament.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that I like that angle a lot. These games are just fun, right? I mean, these are all obviously March Madness games for these teams. They're only way there. These are all one-ticket leagues. So these games are definitely going to be good. I'm going to look at the Horizon Krabs, Northern Kentucky, Cleveland State. So I was on Cleveland State last night. That game, by the way, got really close at the end. Don't know if you had any action in it. They were kind of blowing them out most of the game. I think it was as large as 26. A little bit of a comeback there in the second half. Northern Kentucky, though, really impressed me. Going to be honest, it's the first time I sat down and watched a full Northern Kentucky game. Do you know the team name for Northern Kentucky Krabs off the top of your head?
The Norse, of course.
That's impressive. I feel like I know most. That was one I did not know until I wrote up a piece about it. But
that's a weird one,
Norse, yeah, very weird. They beat the hell out of the Penguins last night. I was on Youngstown State. Defensively, like I said, they're a suffocating team. They've been great all year from a defensive standpoint, and they're playing with a lot of momentum. Northern Kentucky's a team who has some experience, obviously, in the Horizon, being one of the better teams. I like them tonight. I do think they win this game tonight. I think this line flipped a lot, if I'm not mistaken. I think Cleveland State might have opened as a favorite here, or it was like a pick'em. So it's up to 2.5. I mean, that's a really good line movement, obviously, in the favor of Northern Kentucky. So do I like that we're not getting the best number? No, but I do think that the Norse get it done tonight. So FDU already in the tournament. That's why Merrimack is -4.5. Is that confirmed, Krabs? Do you think you agree with that?
Yeah. So Merrimack, just like we saw with, that's a good point. Just like we saw with, who was it? It was Bellarmine last year when you hop up. Yeah, you hop up to D1, and I guess you have to wait out a year or two to be able to go to the tournament. So I guess FDU is already clinched. What's up?
That's so stupid that you can't get in.
Extremely stupid. But I want to settle the nerves of chat. Okay, we saw the same thing last year. You saw people trying to take the team that was already clinched because they thought the other team would have given up or not cared. Well, we saw last year in the championship that Bellarmine destroyed whoever they were playing. And even though they weren't playing for anything, it's more just self-pride and big middle finger to the rest of the world saying we probably should be dancing in this tournament because we're the best team in the conference. So I think you might get even more effort here from a pissed-off Merrimack led by Jordan Minor, who's a dog.
I do like that. Yeah. All right. So everyone in the chat, relax. Krabs knows that. That is the thing. I did not know that. So you learn something new every show. Again, dumbest rule in sports. If you go D1, why are you not allowed to what is the point of waiting? Because you got
punishing these schools for stepping up. I don't understand it.
Yeah. Insane. Don't get that at all. I do want to talk about the Colonial Athletic Championship. So UNCW versus Charleston. Crazy cover last night by Charleston, by the way.
Gosh, man, brutal.
Were you on the other side? I had Charleston in a way. Oh, I'm sorry. That's wrong with me to bring that up, Krabs. I just hurt you. So I had Charleston in a way on the money line. I thought I was in cruise control in that second half. It ended up being a back and forth game. Horrible beat though. Charleston was not the right side by any means. So that was a wild cover by them. Listen, I think they do need to win the tournament to get in, right? Like if they didn't win this tournament, even though they were ranked for a portion of the season, I don't think they were getting that large. So big game tonight, but 9.5 in a conference tournament. What do you think?
Fat spread. It definitely caught my eye. It got down to 8.5. Now it's moving towards Charleston. So I do think they cover. Wilmington is a very public dog. You guys know what happens with public dogs. They bite. I don't love that Charleston beat Wilmington twice already this year. UNC Wilmington has been a great ATS team historically at home over the last couple of years, but they're on a little bit of a magic streak here right now. I know They are 24-9, solid team, and they are playing some of their best ball right now. They just not destroyed, but they beat a Hofstra team pretty well last night. That was debatably the hottest team in the conference. So that scares me a little bit, but that makes that 10 line even sketchier, right? Why are they laying 9.5 to a team that looks like they're, upsetting everyone in their path? Well, it's probably because Charleston's going to win this game big, and UNC Wilmington's going to struggle and play like the team they did at times this season, and that's why they're not the number one team in the conference, right? So, coming off an upset, I like the spot for Charleston, who barely snuck out a win. Shout out the refs for that one. Got it done for Charleston. They probably do win this game and cover. I also really like the under as well. I'm monitoring that. If that keeps going down, I will probably be on the under. Charleston, they don't really have a guy. They have like 8 or 9 guys. They play them all. They all average between like 8 and 11 points a game. Wilmington is a defensive team at heart as well. So I think you get a little bit of nerves like we saw last night with Bolin, Charleston's best player. He did not play well. He was in foul trouble. He looked like he was trying to do too much. I think the guys will have a relatively similar effect where they won't be scoring too many points, but I just don't think Wilmington will as well because they're just not as good, to be honest with you. So give me the under.
How old's that Bolin guy? Do you know?
Dude, he's been playing. This is his 7th season in college basketball. So real quick, if you guys don't know his story, he started out on a D2 team, didn't even have an offer, walked on, ended up being like a 3-time, player of the year in D2, was a stud, transferred a couple places, ended up here at Charleston with a lot of other guys who also transferred. And their coach has done an incredible job of getting these boys, all together as a cohesive unit. And at 30 wins, we haven't seen a team have 30 wins and not make March Madness in decades from what I'm seeing on Twitter. So they probably do win this game and cover. Give me the under. I think they hold Wilmington here to like 55 points. Gross game. Definitely could be. So I do want to update also. Somebody says if we're watching the Richmond game, Krabs, are you dueling up right now?
I got the score up.
Yeah, I'm tuned in. They're up 17-11 right now.
I got 19-11.
That's good, Nigel. I like your score better. Good work.
Yeah.
That's a better score. All right, so there's an update on the Spiders. So we're all. I can't talk today. I missed one show. I forget how to talk. We are all in on the Spiders though today, so let's hope they get it done. Good points though by you, Krabs, and thank you for confirming that guy's age because I was watching that game last night and I was very confused because that dude looked like he was minimally 32.
You want to hear something else that's crazy real quick, dude? He had his eyelid ripped off. And when he was playing at that D2 school, literally didn't have an eyelid. They're like, you can't play basketball anymore, buddy. You don't have a freaking eyelid.
Wait, it's hard to do.
So he rocked an eye patch for the whole season. He was like, F this, I'm playing. He had literally a Pirates black eye patch. Nothing cool. Just a freaking one you get at like the Party Central or whatever. And he balled with one eye. Unbelievable.
I mean, you're making me respect this guy a lot. At first I was making fun of him being that old. I don't know. I think it's tough.
This Charleston team has a bunch of transfers who have been around the block, places it hasn't worked out. They've all come together down there in a great city, and they are rolling right now.
Charleston is a great city. I visited this summer. Love that place. Great time. Probably a fun place to attend school, Krabs, if I had to guess. All right. One last thing, we did want to touch on because we had a question about this. The Oral Roberts game. Listen, I was on St. Thomas last night. They were laying 14. They gave Oral Roberts everything they could have. At one point, a live line, Oral Roberts was minus 120. And they started that game at, I don't know, whatever, minus 1,000, whatever it was. So they were tested a little bit last night. This is like a trendy March Madness team. You know what I mean? Like if they get in, I bet you're going to see a lot of brackets that have them winning the first game. That's just my guess. That's what they've done the last couple of years. This has been a competitive team in the Summit League. 10.5. I mean, these are a couple big spreads. We're going to 9.5 and a 10.5 in a conference championship game. You think there's that big of a gap here between them and their opponent tonight to be laying to warrant this number here at 10.5?
Yeah, unfortunately, there are some conferences in basketball where there's one superior team that reigns supreme. We see it all the time. We saw it with Gonzaga for years. Now, luckily, that conference has gotten a little bit better. But yeah, this is one of those. Oral Roberts, they're going for 30 wins tonight. Best record this team has ever had, this program has ever had. And we remember they've already wreaked some havoc in the tournament before. They're going to be a little public of a pick to make some upsets happen in March. I won't be on them probably, barring a great matchup. But I do think they roll today and take care of business and cover and win big, unlike yesterday. They're going to beat North Dakota State tonight. I wouldn't try to get cute.
Yeah, I agree. I think they, based on this line, I kind of think they roll in this game. Krabs, we have one request before we move to our next segment, and then we will get to best bets, which will include Krabs' best bet and my ladder bet before we close out. We had a request on this St. Joe's Loyola game. The reason for this, if this game was being played at 7 p.m., people don't care. But this game starts in a couple hours. A10 tournament, obviously it's kicking off now with Richmond, but this will be the game that follows. St. Joe's, numbers-wise, had the better year. I believe they beat Loyola twice, right? I think they got them 2 times this year.
They did.
This line is Loyola all the way. And now this is not the Loyola Chicago that we've seen with Porter Moser's teams, where they were really good and, competed every year. This is a different team now, right? I mean, we get that. But based on this line, it's a Loyola play all the way. Am I wrong here?
You're not wrong. You're 100% right. I almost played them myself. Here's the deal, though. Sister Jean is fake sharp every freaking game, plain and simple.
How's she still kicking, Krabs? I mean,
I know. I should probably keep the jokes to a minimum. You never know. That clock is ticking for sure. All respects, though, for sure. All jokes, right? But Loyola Chicago has been fake sharp literally every game this season, Matt. And they're 9-20 ATS. Trust me, I've lived it myself through betting them early on in the season, and I put them in timeout for the rest of the year. I'm done with them. People still think they're the same team from years ago. They're great, whatever. Their name carries more weight in the spread than their actual roster. I'm out, but I do lean that way. I definitely wouldn't be betting St. Joe's here, but it is really hard to beat a team 3 times, right? And they have beat them already twice this year. Pretty good, too. They beat them by like 30 points and then by 10 points. So maybe Loyola cuts that number down again and covers or loses by 1 here. That spread is down to 1 after the 2.5 opener, though, which is wild.
Insane. I mean, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. No doubt about that. Listen, I do have to say, though, that in a game like this, I live, 10, 15 minutes from St. Joe's, very local. This team stinks every year, Krabs. They haven't been good since, the Jameer Nelson, Delonte West run. They're disappointing. Don't put your hard-earned money on St. Joe's. Not as a favorite here. Or now they're a dog. It's a Loyola line all the way. So that is an early game that we did want to touch on. I think it's Loyola who gets it done tonight. All right, before we get to our best bets, we're going to do a little segment here. Who's in, who's out. So we're going to get a little bubble prediction. Sure. Why not? This is fun. Here's the latest bracketology. Nigel, this dropped this morning, right? Or last night?
This was from Joe Lunardi last night.
Last night. Thank you. All right, so who's in, who's out? So we got some bubble talk time. Last 4 in currently out of the SEC. I think we both misstate a lot. Utah State's a team we've been calling for. Rutgers is finding themselves on the wrong side of this because they haven't been really in this bubble type of, this is like, you're sweating bullets when they announce who's in kind of talk. That's where Rutgers all of a sudden is. They have really fallen off as the season's down. And then how about this? Nevada. This is one that kind of surprised me. I like Nevada a lot as a team. But, getting them and Utah State in, showing the Mountain West some love. And then you get the power conference schools that are out. Oklahoma State, I don't think they should be in. I have openly talked about my hatred for Wisconsin this year. I just don't think they're a good team. Arizona State, they had a chance after that big win, but then they struggled this weekend. Obviously, they had some tough games, UCLA and USC. So, tough on there. And I don't know how North Carolina's still getting we might get in. It's their name. It's got to be their name. So that's my guess. But what do you think? If you would have put 4 of these 8 in, who's in?
Yeah. So UNC will continue to get too much respect because of what they did last year and their big name and brand, right? College basketball wants them in the tournament, and they're going to do whatever they can to get them into the tournament. All right, plain and simple. If I had to pick 4 teams in here, not that I think are the most deserving, but the 4 teams I think that are going to be dancing, I would keep this very similar, although I do think Utah State and Nevada should be in. The Mountain West in recent years in the postseason is atrocious. They haven't won game in forever. Last year, they were 0-4 in the first round after everyone was gassing them up. Now we're running it back, right? Mountain West is great again. Let's see how it plays out. I do think those 2 teams deserve to be in it. I would love to see those 2 teams be in it, especially Nevada, who I think could potentially pull off an upset if they get a good matchup. I like all these teams. I would probably just swap out Rutgers with UNC. Arizona State, nothing special. Desmond Cambridge is awesome, but I think their record's better than their team. Wisconsin, I think their name is better than their team. They're really not good this year. And OK State is tough to watch. I'd rather put ice picks in my eyeballs than watch that team play. First team to 60 points wins whenever they're in there. So I'm good on them. I know their point guard is still coming back from an injury. I don't know if he's going to even be playing this week. It might be too late. So swap out Rutgers for UNC, and you got your 4 teams.
Okay. All right. I like that. Yeah, if I had to go with a 4, Krabs, I'm going – I keep Miss State in, no doubt. I got Utah State in there. I get Rutgers out. I don't want Rutgers in. So that's the one team that I would take out. And then I'll add in the team that you just said is very difficult to watch. I'll put Oklahoma State in over Rutgers. That's just because I can't – Rutgers has really struggled, down the stretch of this season. I don't know. I think that it's a good spot to flip them out. And we're going to see because the conference – how about the Big Ten conference tournament? There was like 17 scenarios of how that could play out. I mean, it was insane. Like that last day of the year, I think there was 24 different ways that it could have went, and we saw how it went. But yeah, Rutgers. If you're a Rutgers fan, I don't know why. There's some. Shout out to my guy Alpha Dog Bets. He's a big Rutgers fan. It's probably the only one I know. But sometimes you got to support your team. It's not going to be easy to get in. But if they win a game in the conference, I think that's good. Then they might be able to work their way in. I do want to point out too before we get to our best bets, Penn State. I don't know if this is still up, but it was at least yesterday. This could also depend on your state. I know DraftKings can be weird with that. If you have DraftKings, look at its specials up top, at the end. Penn State to make the tournament yesterday was only minus 125. I think they're in, Krabs. I think they're firmly in, even if they lose a first round game. That win over Maryland on Sunday, I think, kind of put them in. So they're not even on the last 4. I think they're kind of completely off Lunardi's bubble, and he's typically really good on that. That's what he does for a living. Very good at it. So give them a look if you can. Go on DraftKings. Penn State, yes, to make the tournament. Throw some coin on that as well. But yeah, there's our bubble talk. And get North Carolina off the bubble, please. I don't know how they're still on. They have one quad 1 win. It was at home.
They're going to be in, bro. Just wait.
There's no. If UNC makes it in, oh man. I mean, all hell will break loose. I'll tell you that. Now, if they do,
they're going to be in.
You think? Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I don't know.
I do.
I don't know. I think if they don't win a conference tournament game, do they still get in? You put them in, yes?
Let's see who they're matched up against. They play they play today? They don't play today.
No, they don't play today. So they have some kind – I mean, that conference is so big. If you don't have a bye in that.
They are playing – looks like they're going to play the winner of Boston College and Louisville. I mean, that's an easy win. They're going to win that game. And then they play UVA, and UVA forgets how to score half the time, so they could win that game too. I mean, if they win those 2 games, they're definitely in my opinion. Yeah. Look, I'm not saying they deserve to be in, overall after the season. It's been a shit show, but I'm just letting you know what's going to happen because I've seen this movie before.
I do want to point out, too, though, I mentioned, a team like Rutgers. I think Nevada and Utah – I think Utah State should be in. Nevada's probably, the last team in. When you're a non-power conference, too, you have to be so much better. So, say Nevada loses their first tournament game, and then you said it, and North Carolina wins a couple, maybe that's how they get back in. I mean, they're going to need help, and they're going to have to dominate. If they just lose their first game and any of these teams win their first conference game and they still get in, there's problems. But I could be wrong here, but my stats tell me that they would be the first team to not make the tournament, right, as a preseason number 1. Is that accurate? I think that they would be the first team ever to do that. So crazy downfall by Carolina. All right, before we get to the latter pick for today and Krabs' best bet of the day, we're going to kick it to our producer, Nigel, who has a special promo for anybody who lives in the state of Massachusetts. Nigel, what do you got?
So yeah, obviously usually Matt does these promos, but since this is for my people, my fellow massholes, I don't know how many are you out there watching, but obviously Friday launched mobile sports betting. All the apps launch on March 10th, and we're offering a couple bonuses. If you actually go to our YouTube page right now and watch this video on YouTube, in the description, you could find the link here for FanDuel. You get $100 in bonus bets if you sign up now using the link in the description on our YouTube page. If you're watching on YouTube already, it's pretty easy. Just scroll down and click it. And not only FanDuel, we're also offering BetMGM $200 in bonus bets if you sign up now. So that's some good money to use on the tournament coming next week. And also for my fellow massholes out there, we all know it's pronounced Merrimack, not Merrimack. So we won't give these guys too much trouble, but we all know it's Merrimack. Just
Well, I will
just
correct the pronunciation once they cover today. If they don't, they're done. Yep.
If they don't cover, we're gonna call them worse things than that. So
Yep.
that will be fun. But yeah, if you live in Massachusetts, what do you call them, Nigel? Massholes?
Massholes, yeah.
Yeah. All right. If you're a fellow masshole, get in on that. Get in on those awesome giveaways. All right. It's time, Krabs. It's time to get to our best bets for today. Let's get into it. All right. You're gonna kick us off. It's a team that you hold near and dear to your heart. Tell us who you're taking.
Yeah, I'm going back to the well. Mount St. Mary's, the Mountaineers up in Emmitsburg, Maryland. Ever heard of it? Probably not. Doesn't matter. They're winning today. Okay. Look, the Mount had a tough transition to the MAC after leaving the NEC last year, right? A little rough start. They didn't know how to close games. Little nerves going on there. But since then, they have settled in and they're playing a lot better. And they do have the best player on the floor tonight in Jalen Benjamin. It's not even close. This kid's been averaging 20 points a game in his last 8 games. And even if he doesn't step up, like if he has a bad game like he did against Canisius in the last one where he only had 10 points, you're going to see our guy Leflue step up. And look, this is a matchup nightmare for Canisius, a team the Mount's already beaten twice this year. And I typically don't like going back to teams who have beaten somebody twice already, but this is a matchup nightmare for Canisius, all right? They have one of the worst three-point defenses in college basketball, 310th rated three-point defense, and the Mount has the best three-point shooting team in the conference. They're going to take advantage of that tonight like they did in those first 2 games. I love the line move in this game and move from almost a pick'em to the Mount -2. We're rolling with the Mountaineers. The Sharps seem to be moving that line with some big bets, including mine as well. And we're rolling with the Mounts, who's been playing much better, and they've found out how to finish games now in the last month of the year. We're going to back them to stay hot and win this conference first round and move on. They'll play Iona in the next round, and maybe they'll knock off the Gales. We saw the Gales lose last year to St. Peter's, and St. Peter's in the Mount right now this year. Very similar rosters. They win with defense, defensive tenacity, press, and they win with the 3-ball. So let's see if the Mount can pull off a similar upset. You know Iona can't be feeling that comfortable, number 1, after what happened last year. Number 2, Rick Pitino has been talking about leaving very openly recently. Got to be losing some confidence there in your coach. And I think Canisius, they've gotten blown out already by Iona this season. If they think they can win this game, they know they're going to get crushed next round. So you got to handicap effort and tenacity just as much as roster and skill at this point in the season. And the Mount knows and thinks they can beat Iona. They were winning at halftime last time these guys played in Emmitsburg, and they're going to get another crack at Iona, at the number 1 team in the MAC, after they take care of Canisius today on the ML.
All right, I love that. I do want to point out too, Krabs, Rick Pitino, you kind of mentioned him. Ole Miss next year. How about that? You like that fit? I think we've talked about him and Lane Kiffin. That's a legendary basketball, football combination.
So I'm hearing maybe the Texas coach might be going to Ole Miss. He interviewed there. Chris Beard, he actually interviewed there yesterday. Oh, okay. So who knows? I'm sure they'll be doing their rounds, and that's definitely a school where Pitino and then the Texas coach and a lot of other guys are going to be looking, right? Good position.
Yeah. Yes. All right, I love it. All right, let's get to the ladder. So the ladder pick has not happened yet. We got a lot of questions, but the ladder one, it'll pop up in a second. So it'll be under my name where it says Matt's Best Bets. All right, Krabs, we're going to get back on this thing. So overall, we have a good history here, right? We are 14-2 all time on ladder picks, but that doesn't matter if you don't win it, right? I mean, that there's stats at that point, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about a March Madness ladder. I think this is why we are here. You know, we had to get through the first 2 ladders, and they wanted us to prep for a March Madness ladder win. So that'll be fun. That would be something to tell your grandkids about. All right, so let's get into it. Here we go. The ladder pick is live. Day 1, we're going to go with Gonzaga -3. All right, so here's my thinking in this game. -102 on Barstool Sportsbook. Watched the Zags last night. I was actually on the Dons, and I was holding my breath all game. That offense that Gonzaga has, outstanding. They shot the ball really well last night from distance. I think they match up really well here with St. Mary's. St. Mary's still Gonzaga's little brother at the end of the day. That's all they are at the moment. I've said it all season long. Most seasons Gonzaga's overrated. This season they're underrated, in my opinion. So Gonzaga tonight, I expect them to come out, dominate this game. And I think they take care of business here. St. Mary's, very solid team. I was on the Gales last night. Shout out to them. Kind of a crazy cover. Well, it depends on number. You know, there was other numbers out there that they did not cover. That's set. So some people at 7.5. I believe though it closed at 6.5. So kind of a wild game there. Very good team, but their best player, freshman Gonzaga on the other side, a ton of experience. You got Drew Timme, who's going to come out, going to do his thing. And I do want to point out that this game is basically a home game for the Zags. I don't know if you watched that game last night, Krabs, against San Francisco. That place was rocking in favor of Gonzaga. It's always like that for conference tournaments. It's going to feel like that again tonight. Gonzaga smoked St. Mary's last time they played. The first game they should have won. They just choked it down the stretch the last 3-4 minutes of that game. So they've outplayed them twice this season in the box score. From a box score standpoint, they've been the much better team. They outplay them tonight. They take care of business. -3 alt spread, -102. So again, that is on Barstool Sportsbook. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I know some books don't offer flat spreads, but let's do it, guys. What do you think? You like the Zags tonight?
Yeah, I like the Zags to win the tourney. I took that bet before the tournament started at -135. Probably should have just waited and taken them today on the ML if I liked them, but that's okay. We moved. They got to this point. Doesn't matter, right? I don't like that pullback though. I am seeing some 2.5s there for St. Mary's, but we'll see. Matt, I'm not getting in the way of that Gonzaga train right now. Are you kidding me? I think this team might win the whole thing. That's how good they are. And like you said, the finally 1 year where not everybody's, slurping Gonzaga and saying they're going to win the whole thing. Everyone's kind of down on them this year. Look how they've been playing recently, man. They are destroying teams, and they are out for blood. You can tell. So in the year where nobody believes in them, that could be when Gonzaga does it because that's how betting works.
Yes, that is how it works. And I do want to point out too, Gonzaga most years, the last couple years they've done better, making their non-conference schedule tougher. But they played some really tough games this year, right? And they've won a couple, they've gotten smoked in a couple. All in all, I think it makes them more of a legit team, but a ton of experience. Mark Few, very good coach. Not that St. Mary's doesn't have a great coach in Bennett, but I think they come out game plan tonight, ready to go. If they can slow Mahaney down in this game, like I said, he's a freshman, young kid, tough spot, to be the guy. If they can get him just off his game a little bit, make someone else beat them, I think they can roll in this game. I do want to point out, too, watch this game early. If this thing's low scoring, I'll get a little concerned, Krabs. Because if this stays in the 60s, that's where Mary's wants to play. They want to kind of muck this thing up. They want to do what Northern Kentucky did to Youngstown State last night, right? I mean, that is where it is. Some people really only show up for the latter. Yeah. Thank you for the people who watched. He's calling out. That's unloyal. Shout out to the loyal people who watch every segment with us and have some fun. But there it is. So Krabs, you got a little mount action. I got some Gonzaga -3. Throw a parlay on these because we missed yesterday's show, which means we owe you guys 2 winners today. Very confident, Krabs, that we will get these done. I'm going to hop on the mount with you for sure. What time's that game at? Do you know? Is it an afternoon game or a night game?
Yeah, it is a afternoonish, 5:00 p.m. Eastern, so kind of in the middle there. But if you guys are looking for an earlier play, I am on Albaline Christian -2. Little bonus pick there for you guys.
All right. I like that. I do like that. So before we close out, though, we have a jersey giveaway, Krabs, and a PS5 giveaway. So a little bit of a dual giveaway here. Simple to enter this. You got Instagram. Most people do. If you don't, download it just for this giveaway, and then you never have to use it again. Go to @oddschecker_US on Instagram. Just simply follow them, and then you're entered in. Your name will be in the hat. Someone's walking away with a college basketball jersey of their choice and a PS5. Not a bad day. Not a bad day at all. All right, so that'll be it for today, guys. Great show. Appreciate the energy that everybody bought. Big games tonight, Krabs. Best time of the year. We hope you guys all, have a great day. Have a great day gambling, and let's get rich today and make it hurt on the books. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Let's cash in. We'll see you guys then.